Yo, what's up, guys? I don't even know where to begin with this performance today by Milan, guys. Milan get absolutely thrashed today, guys. Losing 3-0 against Udinese. Just an absolutely inexplicable performance today by Milan today, guys. I cannot believe how bad this performance was today. Obviously, we heard some news yesterday and today, of course, that Matchday was going to change things up a little bit, go to a 4-3-3, play Pulisic on the left, Leao up top, Salamaker's on the right, Ricci's in the midfield with Modric and Rabiot, Athakami on the right with, as we saw, De Winter, Pavlovic, Bartasaghi on the left, of course, and finally all of us Milan fans said, okay, finally we could see some maybe attacking football. Milan could play on the front foot, maybe start to attack, maybe get some goals. But my God, it was the complete and utter opposite of what we saw today. Today, if anything, just solidified that Milan have personnel issues. They don't have players that are good enough to play in a four-man defense. They don't have good enough attacking options, of course. And then Max Allegri, of course, continuously insists on playing Rafa Leao as a number 9 when Rafa Leao clearly does not suit playing in a number 9 role. And obviously Rafa is clearly injured as well. But this manager here continuously insists on playing Rafa as a number 9. Now, Milan, in the first half with Pulisic playing on the left, I felt he was their best player in the attack, guys, in the first half. Christian Pulisic really attacking the space. Milan were doing some decent things, but unfortunately, Milan were very careless with the ball at times in the first half, turning the ball over a lot. We did have some chances on net, but we did squander a lot of opportunities. And then as we saw, anytime Milan gave up possession, Udinese would threaten Milan. And what I saw today with Milan's midfield and defense was like I was watching last season all over again under Fonseca or Conceição last year. Milan's defensive midfield was so exposed when they pushed up the field that Udinese had so much space to attack and find the open man. It was incredible to me, And then Alexis Salamakers, who has been absolutely mediocre in 2026, the entirety of 2026. He has been absolute dog shit. Now, that also could be due to the fact that he has been playing a lot this year, had some injuries as well. Likely not playing Athakami off, sure. But that is no excuse for some of the passes that this guy was laying out today, especially on the first goal. This guy tries to pass in between two players, loses the ball. Udinese come in on the counterattack, tries to slide tackle Zaniolo, completely misses him. Udinese finds space. Davide Bartasaghi, who was at fault for the goal last week against Napoli, once again is out of position. He gets into position late. Atta takes the shot, deflects on Bartasaghi, and goes into the net to make it 1-0 for Udinese. It was incredible to me how easily Milan were opened up, how badly they were moving the ball, Milan, how carelessly they were turning the ball over. And then we saw Udinese make Milan pay for it and take a 1-0 lead. And I just knew right then and there, oh boy, here we go. It's going to be a long game, and it just continued, honestly. Like, Milan did push, Christian Pulisic, who obviously hasn't scored a goal in 2026 this year, had a great point-blank chance and misses the net by the slightest of margins. But I say to myself, a year ago, he probably buries that shot, and it's very concerning to see that Pulisic hasn't scored a goal, missing opportunities that he would have scored. There's obviously all the news that came out this week about him with his ex-girlfriend and about having this Raya page and all this other shit. It's just been a completely disastrous 2026 for Christian Pulisic. Off the field, on the field, it has been a mess. And then he put in a great ball to Leao, and I don't know why Rafa tried to put the ball down with his foot instead of trying to head the ball there. He even had Salamakers on the far post there, but unfortunately they squandered that chance there too. It was really frustrating. Some of the chances Milan had, they squandered them, and then you see Udinese come down the field. Davis hit a post. Then we saw the second goal being scored where Rabiot's in a little bit of a scuffle there. The ball comes out to Zaniolo, who's completely wide open. Puts in an incredible ball to Ellenkamp, who's in between two defenders like Athakami and De Winter. And those two there, can neither of them get a head on the ball. And we saw Ellenkamp make it 2-0 for Udinese. Just incredible ball by Zaniolo for one. horrendous man marking by Milan, and a really nice header by Ellenkamp there. But my God, man, and another indictment on Gennaro Gattuso and the Italian national team for not calling up Nicolo Zaniolo, because what a ball he put in today. He played a really good match today as well. He could have easily started over Politano for the national team against Bosnia, so really good game for the kid. Another indictment on the national team, an indictment on Milan's defense once again, showing the holes and deficiencies while playing a four-man defense, going down 2-0, and you just knew that this game here was probably done and buried. Sure, Milan have come back from 2-goal leads before, but you just knew that this team here, the way they were playing, the way they were set up on the field, you just knew it was a recipe for a disaster. Guys, Salamakers had a great opportunity to cut it down to 2-1, but Okoye made an absolutely incredible save there to keep it at 2-0, and I just knew right then and there, okay, it's not their day today. It's just not their day. And then Max Allegri goes and decides to piss me off even more. Instead of bringing on Santi Jimenez, he brings on Nicholas Füllkrug. Like, what has Nicholas Füllkrug done to deserve playing time right now? Jimenez, obviously coming off a long injury layoff, has come off the bench the last couple games. He should have been the first one off the bench today. What does Allegri do? He puts in Füllkrug, then Füllkrug has a chance, and he heads it completely wide, and completely did nothing in the second half. Not that anybody did anything in the second half, but still, my God, he's just not a great player, Füllkrug. He's a stiff, gets service, can't finish his opportunities, just another wasted player there. And once again, that's management's fault for trying to go for the cheapest stops instead of going for the best stops and trying to improve this team and trying to get into the Champions League. That's obviously up in the air now. But then, as we saw, things got worse after Milan did try to push, try to get a goal to cut the deficit down, but we put too many men up the field there, got caught back on the counters there, guys. Udinese pushed the ball upfield, and then we saw Atta get a goal there. De Winter plays the ball badly or defends the ball horribly there. Atta scores a goal there to make it 3-0 to put the final nail in the coffin for Milan there, guys. It's just an absolutely inexcusable performance today by Milan there, guys. Allegri got it all wrong with his tactics, of course. The player selection he got wrong today, continuously playing Leao in a number 9. The four-man defense today clearly didn't work today. I think we can all agree now for the rest of this season, he probably has to pay a 3-5-2. And everything about Allegri saying how he doesn't trust the defense, how he has to play a 5-man midfield and a 3-man defense to give more solidity. I think this game just showed and proved why he has been doing that this season, guys. But it's not all Allegri's fault, of course, because you got to blame the assholes upstairs, of course, especially guys like Jerry Cardinale and Giorgio Ferlani, of course. Guys like Ferlani, of course, letting these purchases happen, buying guys like De Winter is stupid. And of course, even though De Winter's playing well, you can see he can't play in a 4-man defense. He can only play in a 3-man defense. It's pretty evident to me. But the money they've wasted on is stupid. On Nkunku, Jimenez, that's over 100 million euros right there. Jashari, you spent 40 million on. De Winter, you spent 20 million on. So right there, guys, we're talking over 160 million euros right there for players that have not been productive enough. Just by naming Nkunku, Jimenez, and it's stupid. Those 3 guys alone are worth 100 million euros, and those guys were all on the bench today. This is why Milan are in the position they're in, because their management are incompetent. They spend money on the wrong players. Haven't had a striker in a long bloody time since Ibra, for God's sakes. Ibra came to Milan, left to Milan in 2011, came back to Milan, and has been their best striker after he came back for the second time as Milan striker, for God's sakes, before he bloody retired. That is how badly things have been for Milan the last couple years and probably the last decade or so, especially in the attack. And then Leao, of course, did have a great game today. But what do you want the man to do when Allegri continuously plays him in the middle of the park? Sure, he shifted him to the left after, but it doesn't bloody matter. The guy's going to get scapegoated every bloody time because he's not having great performances and he's injured. And do not say to me that I want him sold. That is not the case at all, because Allegri has not put him in the right positions. Leao has been injured this season, of course. Obviously the formation has clearly been a topic of an issue this year, of course, with certain fans and everything else. But you saw today where the issues lie with this team. Upper management, of course, has been an issue the last 3 to 4 years. You've seen the downfall of Milan since Paolo Maldini left the club. with the purchases they made, the ambitions that they have. We all see what the ambitions is with upper management. It's about making more money, being in fine line, of course, being in obviously the black and everything else. This is what the frustration is with management, guys. Continuously focusing on what's more important is about money instead of the product on the field. And winning is the most important thing. You make the most money by winning on the field, but this management doesn't seem to grasp that. And then when you got a parasite in the club, like someone like Giorgio Furlani, who has to have his fingerprints on every sporting decision and has to accept every sporting decision, this is why the club is where they are, competing for top four now. This team here playing once a week had opportunities to compete for the Scudetto, but the incompetence, obviously, of the management, not giving Allegri the right players, and Allegri being forced to play a certain formation because of the limitations of the squad. You see it now in games like this today against Udinese, where Allegri tried to tweak something, go to a 4-3-3, and you saw the exposing of Milan's defense, then midfield today, and you saw the lack of attack today, guys, with the very little amount of attacking threats today on Udinese's goal today on Okoye. You had a couple chances in the first half today. The second half was pretty much non-existent, if you ask me. Sure, he brought in Fofana for Ricci. Ricci was okay today, wasn't amazing today. Nobody was great today, guys. Pulisic was solid in the first half. Second half, he was non-existent after he shifted to the right flank there, and Salamakers dropped down to right back there after he subbed out Atakami at halftime there. This game here was very worrying to me. You've lost 3 out of 4 games now. You lost to Lazio, you lost to Napoli, and now you've lost to Udinese. This is very concerning. Now we have to pray to God. Juve and Atalanta tie today. We have to hope Inter beat Como now tomorrow to give Milan at least that 5-point gap still for Champions League. Now, and Champions League's obviously not a guarantee now because you got teams like Roma, with Milan playing incredible right now, 10 goals in 12 games. And obviously Atalanta's been playing great under Palladino. Champions League is not a guarantee right now, and I am very, very concerned that Milan might not make Champions League. It's obviously still up in the air. You still got 6 games left, but my God, this is really bad, guys. The way Milan have been playing the last couple of weeks, of course, losing 3 out of 4, like I mentioned, they're not playing well right now. Allegri tried to change tactics, didn't work out today. Probably has to revert to a 3-5-2 again. We all know that there are limitations with that formation, especially up top in the attack. But, guys, we see it today. The defense is just not good enough to play in a back four. I said it before. It's like I was watching last season, just getting exposed in the defense and the midfield, giving up counterattacks, giving up golden opportunities today to the opponent today. That is exactly what we saw today against Udinese. Udinese could have won this game easily 4-5-0 today. They had ample opportunities to bury more goals today. Mike Maignan was left hanging today by his defense today, guys. I do not blame him for any of the goals today. This game here today is due to Allegri's tactics, the players not playing good enough, having deficiencies. No, we can't even simply man mark. Come on. These are professional athletes, for God's sakes. Guys like De Winter and Pavlovic, especially Pavlovic, he can't make those darting runs playing in a 4-man defense. You don't have the extra coverage for a guy to back you up there if you want to make that darting run up the field. You can't do that on a 4-man defense. It's very evident to me that guys like Pavlovic and De Winter are more suitable for a 3-man defense. Have that extra coverage, have the wingbacks covering the flanks there so they don't have to worry about that, because when you have the flanks pushing up the field there and the defense has to cover, everybody's out of sorts today. We saw that ample times. So even at the end of the first half, the Udinese could have made it 3-0 there. But Bartosagi cleared it off the line today. Bartosagi has shown an experience in this game. You saw the deficiencies in our back four today, guys, with the defense not being able to man mark, getting exposed on counters today. Rabiot wasn't great today. Neither was Modric. The entire midfield got overran today. And then you saw the attack today, missing opportunities, not getting chances on that. It was just a really frustrating game today, guys. Management is obviously going to get blamed again if this team here doesn't make top four. And then Jerry Cardinale will have the audacity and the balls to say, well, why don't the fans give me the benefit of the doubt? I've shown that I want to win. Well, you know what, Jerry? If you've shown you want to win, go and get the right players instead of just spending money on certain players like guys like Nkunku. Go and get guaranteed young talents. Like Milan would never go and spend $50 million on a young player like Palestra, for example. And that is the problem here. Or guys like Leone, for God's sakes. Obviously he's hurt this year with an ACL injury, but those are examples. Those are the type of players that Milan need to be going after. Young, talented players, explosive talents, but instead Milan rather go for the cheaper option and say, oh no, we could save 20 million on a guy like De Winter instead of spending 40 on Leone per se, for example. That is the problem with this management. That is why Milan have faltered at times the last 3 to 4 years under this management since Maldini has left. This is why Milan are in the position they are now. The mentality of the ownership and how they think, and it trickles down to the squad, and you can see it on the field there, guys, with the players that they purchased, with the formation that they're obviously playing, forcing Allegri to play it because of the players that management buys. The man is obviously not a magician. He's done some good things this year for the team, but it's just not good enough for a standard like Milan. Milan should be competing for the Scudetto every single bloody season. Of course, we were in 9th last year, but we should be competing for first place every single bloody year and not just making Champions League and saying, oh, top 4 is good enough. That is unacceptable for a club of this stature. Milan need to start changing their mentality and mindset, and that starts with management upstairs. Cardinale said that he's going to evaluate management and everything else. Well, his first thing should be to get rid of Giorgio Ferlani, but we obviously know that Jerry Cardinale is not do that. He probably fired Tade before he fired Ferlani. That is the problem with management. That is why Milan have issues on the field, because they have issues upstairs with the people running the club, and we see it again today in a 3-0 loss today by Milan today, guys. Until this club decides to say, we are going to spend the money on the right players instead of trying to save money and get players, and try to get value for them. Guys like Reinders, where you spend 20 million on and then flip them for like 55 million. Those are what these guys want to do. That's not how this club operates. We are not a club that develops players and sells them. That is not how this club should be ran, but that is how these people are running the club, and it is unacceptable to me how these people run the club. Allegri is at fault for some things of how this game ended up today, but I still blame management for not buying the right players, not buying a striker, neglecting that position there, neglecting buying a world-class center back, guys. These are the things that you say to yourself. This is why Milan are in 3rd place right now and, and not competing for the title. We had ample chances to compete for the Scudetto this season, playing once a week out of the Coppa Italia early, but Milan, unfortunately, had small club syndrome this year, couldn't beat smaller teams, couldn't beat Udinese again today as well, who's obviously a mid-table squad. These are the type of games that have haunted Milan the entire season, guys. And once again, it has haunted them again. Last year, we watched Napoli play once a week, win the title with Conte, because they had the right mentality. De Laurentiis said, okay, Antonio, I'm going to buy you every single player that you want. Give me a list and I will go out there and purchase what I can. This management here, instead of doing what Allegri wants, they'll do the opposite. This is what they've done with every manager since they bought the club Redbird. They continuously go against what the manager wants, do what they want instead, and then you get the product you get on the field. This has been a continuous problem for Milan since Redbird has been in charge. We never saw this under Paolo Maldini. Paolo put the club first, put the product on the field first. These guys should do the complete opposite, and this is why Milan are in the position that they're in. This team here will never compete with these people in charge unless Jerry Cardinale finally says to himself, I need to be doing the right things. That is prioritizing winning on the field instead of worrying about the bottom line and worrying about making money instead of winning on the field. The most important thing is winning, and you will make money by winning. That is the most obvious thing that we know in sports, guys. But Jerry Cardinale, being an American, you'd think he would grasp that, but he doesn't. It's incredible to me how badly Milan played today. It's incredible how bad we've looked. The three games we've lost out of the 4. Even that Torino game was a bit sketchy at times. It was a little bit shaky at times. We found a way to win that game there. But now this game here, just another example of why this team struggles. And we still got to play Juventus, for God's sakes. That game will not be easy either. Don't forget, we lost to Juve, for God's sakes. Oh, sorry, we tied them, but we should have beaten them. But Pulisic missed a penalty shot there, if you guys recall, guys. But my God, man, just an absolutely frustrating day today for us Milan fans. Management are idiots. Unfortunately, the squad, has shown their flaws and deficiencies this season. We have seen it many times this year, guys, but Milan have had some good games this season against the top clubs, but we have seen against the mediocre clubs today, Milan have let their guard down. Their management, unfortunately, continuously accept this mediocrity, and it's very frustrating to me how a club of this stature have people in charge that accept making top 4 is good enough for a team of this stature. It's just so sad to see where this club has gone since Paolo Maldini was sacked, because they spent 40 million on Charles de Ketelaere. But this management here spends over 170 million euros in one summer or in a couple summers, and they all keep their jobs after finishing in 9th place last year. It's just complete and utter negligence by the management, by Jerry Cardinale, complete utter incompetence as well from everybody all around today. And we see it again today in this match today, guys. The next 6 games are going to be very nerve-wracking for us Milan fans. Champions League is not a guarantee right now. We'll see what happens on the results with Como and Inter and Juve Atalanta. Hopefully, hope for the best, guys. You know, if Milan somehow find a way to get into Champions League next year, I hope to God that this management does something differently than what they've done the last 3 to 4 years. But I don't expect that. I'm just trying to be a positive Milan fan right now. But there's nothing to be really positive about right now with these people in charge. I have never liked these people, how they've run the club. Sure, Allegri has his faults, but Milan are in the position they're in because of how he has set up this team right now. And unfortunately, as we have seen, guys, it has hurt this team at times this season. Sure, they have won some games as well, but my God, the personnel on this team you have seen is just not good enough to win games for Milan today, at times this season, guys. We have seen the holes in this team. We have seen the holes in this management, and it's coming to a head now. With these last 6 games, I don't know what's going to happen, what he does with the formation, who he starts. It's going to be very interesting to see where this team falls, guys. But we'll love to your guys' thoughts and opinions on this game today, guys. Just another absolutely disaster performance today by Milan today, guys. 3 losses out of their last 4 games. Things are getting very concerning now, guys, for this team. But we'll love to your thoughts and opinions on this one, guys. So like this video, subscribe if you guys want to see more content. Forza Milan sempre, as always, guys. See you guys on the next episode of Rock One Filter. Ciao, guys.